Good Monday evening, HBCU Sports family. Welcome again to another edition of HBCU Sports Live. My name is Chris Stevens. I'll be leading for, at least for the first few segments. Our usual host, Kendrick Marshall, had a family obligation. So glad to be with you guys tonight. Hope you all, your weekend went well and your Monday is good. And as you can see to my right, my right. I mean, on the screen, he's to my left, but to my right, he's a guest. We got Doc Holliday from HBCU Overdrive. Doc, how you doing today?
Doing good.
Damon, thank you for joining us. And our usual cast of characters, we have the victorious boss of the operation, Mr. Ken Rashad, Grambling State University. And we have another happy HBCU grad today, Jared Hoffman of Bowie State, who also claimed victory this weekend. So welcome aboard, gentlemen. And we will get started. Well, actually, before we get started, I want to remind you folks to hit the like and subscribe button on our channel. And don't forget to become a level 1, level 2, or a level 3 subscriber. At the tidy sum of $4.99 a month, you can get all the HBCU sports inside information you can handle, along with the usual shenanigans from our regular cast of characters. So I want to make sure we get that. And don't forget to visit hbcusports.com, where we write and post a lot of stories about Black college sports. Follow us on all social media platforms, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. We everywhere. So be sure to do all of that. Okay, now we can get started.
But before we get started. Doc. Let's let these people know right now. And I'm gonna just say it. Kendrick need to come here and take this medicine. But Doc, let the folks know what school you represent, son.
I represent I love Jackson State University, man.
Not the evil laugh.
You sound like Stephen A. when he be laughing at the Cowboys losing.
Yes, he does. That's exactly what he sounds like. That's exactly what he sounds like.
Hey, come on now. No Cowboys slander either, man.
Hey, I'm not a Cowboys fan by any means. I'm just saying. You know what? Speaking of NFL, how about the Rams? Did you see it was a great weekend. Anyway.
Not for me.
Well, so look, Doc, see, this was supposed to be a twofer. And hopefully Kendrick Marshall will come here before this show's over with, blaming that on the family. But come on, man. Come on, Kendrick. Golly, man. Okay. I'm sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Well, that's actually where we're going to start tonight's show. The sellout in the hole over there in Grambling, Louisiana, turned out to be what appears to be a coming out party for the Grambling State Tigers under Mickey Joseph. 3 wins in a row, 41-20 over the Tigers. This is their best start since 2017, which of course was the last year they won the Southwestern Athletic Conference and made the appearance in the second ever Celebration Bowl. So Ken, you were there. Doc, you were there. So I'll let
I was here at the house.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. So, but Ken was in the building. So
I sure was.
So Ken, what are your unbiased, impartial, journalistic takeaways from Saturday's game?
What? Impartial?
Unbiased? You really think you about to say something impartial and unbiased? That's funny.
He ain't about to do.
You remember the show The Wire?
Of course.
Remember that detective? Whenever he's about to keep it real, you know how you know what he would say, right?
Oh,
shit. Unbiased.
Shouts out to Clay Davis.
Unbiased. Man, let me tell you something right now. We hadn't seen a butt whipping that great since 2017. And you know what? The last time we played a night game in Robinson Stadium was 2017. And you know who we played against? Jackson State. And you know what? You lost that game too. Nah, man, look. Okay, so real talk. I can't sit up here and tell you that I expected a 40-21 score going into this game. I really thought this game would be a heck of a lot closer than it actually was. No way that I expect the game to be that. I did leave that game kind of with some questions because I knew that Jackson had a running game that it was likely going to unleash during that game, and it happened. But and I would just say this, man. It just goes to show how key turnovers can be. 5 turnovers? And then
turnovers.
5 turnovers, and then on top of that, I think Jackson State has something like 11 penalties. So you put in five turnovers combined with those penalties, and they not that there's ever a good time for a penalty, but they were kind of like some untimely penalties. Because the one, in fact, I want to say there was even once where there was a key run that was taken. It was called back. It was like a 46-yard scamper that was called back due to penalty. So I say all that to say, for all intents and purposes, and I mean this, as lopsided as that score was, Jackson State literally, I mean, you can make an argument. Jackson State outplayed Grambling, in offense. They could have run all day, and I did wonder sometimes why not just continue to do what was working for you. You literally could have run every single play, and there didn't appear to be anything that our run defense could do to stop J State. That's one thing. But to Grambling's credit, at this point, Grambling's defense Grambling leads the nation in takeaways. And when you're talking about here we are 4 games in, I think it's safe to say we've gotten to the point to where that's just not a coincidence. And Mickey Joseph has stated emphatically, periodically during the course of the season that, they literally work on drills, in terms of, stripping the ball, taking away and so forth. And it's showing. It really is showing. So when you put in consideration what this team has done up to this point, it's not a coincidence. And I'll just leave it at that. So J State outplayed Grambling, especially with that run game. And it's unfortunate that turnovers, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, resulted in 20 points.
21 points off the I think 20 points off the 3 turnovers.
Yeah.
One was a pick 6.
A scoop and score. And so that mean that was the difference. That and the penalties, it's not a whole lot you can do with that.
All right, Doc, turn it over to you now as the J State representative. It won't go down as one of the best efforts in the TC Taylor era, but as there's still a lot in front of you. I mean, it wasn't an Eastern Division game, so it really doesn't count for anything in the standing. So what are your takeaways from Saturday's game? What do you think this team needs to improve upon, heading into their next game?
My whole thing is I think we need to improve upon the dumb, eliminating the dumb penalties, the mistakes. But, you got 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, but that you also got some other kids out there that are veterans, and it kind of seem to make the most inopportune mistakes at a time. So one drive where we was Grambling was dry with, we had them on 3rd and long. Miles Crawley threw the ball, and our D tackle comes in and puts him to the ground right after once the ball was already left. Yeah. So they called a roughing the passer penalty right there. Another one was a couple of personal foul calls where it's like, y'all gotta sometimes you gotta block everything out and just go out there and play ball. But to our advantage, this wasn't a conference game for us. Mm-hmm. We've always said, people's always said that strange things go down in the hole. That was, to us, that was strange because I know the last time we was in the hole, all around, all together was 2021 in the spring season. You know, we won a game on a forced fumble at the goal line. But the biggest, to me, some people think the biggest issue is our quarterback playing two quarterbacks at a time. To me, I'm the type of person, I'm like, I'd rather stick with one quarterback, get it over with. You know, this is the person that you're gonna go with. But the last three games, we have had to put Jacoby Morgan in to kind of be a relief for Cam McCoy because he cannot finish out of the game. You know, and I said this. Cam McCoy, who is, to me, I mean, as a dynamic player because of his athleticism and the fact that he can actually run the ball, he can pass the ball too. He can't finish out of the first half. So when you think about it, he played in the 3 games that he's been knocked out of going into the halftime. He's played a total of 1 whole game and a half. And it's the same thing with Jacoby Morgan. He's played like 2 whole games and a half. So to me, like, Jackson State faithful is looking at it like, okay, what are you doing, TC? Let's go ahead and get this over with. Put Jacoby in and let's go ahead and make a run for it. But at the same time,
but if I understood TC correctly, and not to cut you off, but if I understood TC correctly, didn't he indicate that he's going to probably stick with that 2 quarterback system at least for the foreseeable future?
Did say foreseeable future. He did say that in the press in the coach's call today. So to me, it's just the fact that when you got McCoy in, he brings a dynamic to the running game because not only, like I said, not only can he pass it, but he's also a threat to run. To me, it opens up running lanes for the running backs or so. But he's also a good passer. But I think for him, he needs to stay like TC says, he needs to stay upright, finish out the game, and see what he can do. Because I think he could throw for like 250, 300 yards and 3 touchdowns if he wanted to, and probably rush for another 50 yards if he wanted to. But it's just the fact that he just got to stay upright. And when we ever get Jacoby in, I want to see him run a little bit more because use your frame. You're 6'4", 230 pounds. Like, run, like, don't be so timid with the football, wanting to run the football where you put yourself in situations that you're throwing off your back foot. You're airmailing deep passes and stuff. So I'm just want to look at him like, okay, hey, sometimes just don't think. Go out there and make plays. If there's an opportunity for you to run. We've seen some this weekend where the QB for Bethune-Cookman ran for over 100 yards. He also threw for 300 yards in the game. And I'm like, and he's about the same size as him. I'm like, that dude is running. He got athleticism. You got the same thing. Go out there and use your God-given ability and run. So that's my whole take. But then we got Texas Southern, so we'll be down to H-Town. Go ahead and get a thing of French's chicken. Go to the screw shop, get a screw tape and or 2 and head over to the Shell and play a football game.
We're going to talk about Bethune-Cookman in a minute, but I want to get Jared's thoughts on the Jackson State Grambling game. So, Jared, what are your takeaways from Saturday's game? And are we ready to say that Grambling is for real as a SWAC West, and a SWAC contender?
Well, I can't really say much about the game because I didn't get to see much, but seeing 2 defensive scores from Grambling, forcing 5 turnovers. I'm wondering, is that sustainable? Not will they be getting 5 turnovers a game, because that's a lot to ask of a defense, but being able to force the opposing team to make a decision with the coverages that you're in. You know what I mean? Putting pressure on them in ways that they're playing outside of their character. You know, this is a Jackson State offense that's still getting acclimated to each other. You know, Rico Powers, I don't believe he played in this game. And
he's out.
Did they say for how long, or if there's any?
I don't know if he's out, but I know he's out for a foreseeable amount of time.
Yeah, so you're down your best receiver. You know, J.D. Martin, I expected him a couple of years ago when Prime left that he was going to have a breakout season, and he hasn't really taken that next step into becoming one of the top running backs in the SWAC. You know, the defense, with all the great DBs that they have, I don't think that they have had the same impact this year. I don't think they've had the opportunity to have the same impact this year that they had last year. So I'm not optimistic about Jackson State's chances in the East. Granted, there's anything to play for with Florida A&M and with Alabama State. I don't think there's that much of a gap at all between any of the teams at the top of the SWAC East. So who knows what could happen when they match up with each other. But as far as Grambling in the West, I got to see if it's sustainable. If they're able to have defensive performances like this on a nightly basis, because there's no real dominant offense in the SWAC West. In the SWAC in general, I don't think there's any dominant offense. The best offense is probably Florida A&M, but I don't see there being any team that I think that they could have a bad night against, unless they're just not in cohesion on a given night. But I think Miles Crawley hasn't had to display his talents at his best because the defense has done enough to get them over the finish line. You know, so what's going to happen when Miles Crawley has his back, and the team has his back against the wall, and Miles Crawley has to lead them to a win? I believe he could do it, but I have to see it. So I don't think this is with, you know, ignorant knowledge, having not watched the game, but I don't know if there is much to. I think that's more of a question for Doc and Ken, who obviously Ken was at the game and Doc watched the game. I don't think there's much that we learned from this game that could help going forward, because I feel like the 5 turnovers is an anomaly for the Jackson State offense and the Grambling State defense. But yeah, I just think it's an anomaly, and I don't think it's going to carry forward. So I don't know if we learned anything, or if the perspective of either team changed.
Yeah, it's a fair point. And I can tell you now, the one thing that has been consistent about Grambling's offense is that it has still consistently shown signs of inconsistency, for the simple fact that it hasn't been able. We've yet to see Miles Crawley's true potential at this point, because whether it be, and I'm not putting this all on him, that offensive line still has some work to do. There's still a lot of times, and I'm not necessarily talking about the J State game. I'm talking about this game. I'm talking about the Commerce game. You know, some will say, and I've heard the complaints, Miles is holding the ball too long. And while there may be some level of truth to it, there's still those instances where, okay, Miles isn't getting enough time to throw the ball because the offensive is breaking. You know, that pocket is collapsing. So and overall, we've seen this offense in situations, as was the case with the Jackson State game, to where, you know, the first 2 possessions, you know, they're just kicking it on all cylinders, and then all of a sudden they just sputter, and then before you know it, they go into these, you know, maybe 3, 4, 5 possessions to where, you know, they may drive 30, 40 yards, and then all of a sudden it's 3 and out. And then before you know it, they either can't score touchdowns, or at the very best they can do is, you know, maybe get in field goal position. And sometimes maybe that could be a challenge. So, you know, it's a fair point, Jared. Grambling still has some work to do on offense, and they've yet to play a complete game. The Jackson State game as well as the Commerce game, it's been the defense that literally has won those games for Grambling. That's got them in the position that they're in right now.
I say shout out to Coach Rollins for getting that defense up.
Yeah, Jason Rollins.
He's been pretty much. I feel like if he was the defensive coordinator on the team last season, where he had all the toy, the pieces and the toys in place with Sonny Anderson, all of those guys right there, I think the defense would be even better. It would have been even better last season than what you get right now for this season. Like, to me, I think when you talking about Grambling's defense, you don't see a name that just pops out there like that. You don't. They're just kind of like household names, but also it's like they know how to get to the ball. You don't lead the country in takeaways for nothing.
Right.
The other thing with Grambling is just the offense is too inconsistent because you can't run the ball. You ran the ball for 100 yards as a team, but you only average 2.7 yards per carry. Yep. You cannot. You won't be able to sustain no type of play, especially in the SWAC West, because when you think about it, looking at the game on Saturday, Prairie View is terrible on defense, but they can move the ball on offense.
Yeah,
they can try to move the ball on offense. And let's not forget, you got Texas Southern. You still got to play Texas Southern, and don't sleep on Arkansas Pine Bluffs because they do have like a top 5 offense in the conference. So don't sleep on them. Also, to me, you just can't too much rely on your defense and just say, hey, bail them out, bail us out. If we can give you 14 points, it's kind of like the old school back in the day, the 2000 Ravens, where their defense was so out of this world, but their offense did not match what the defense was putting out. Basically, defense scored 14 points. You just don't lose the game for us right here.
Yeah, and Grambling, this is a real good chance for them Saturday in the State Fair Classic in Dallas to actually hit Prairie View with the knockout blow, because they've already lost 2 SWAC West games. They lost to Southern in overtime last week, and then of course in the Labor Day Classic they were shocked by Texas Southern. So Prairie View is on the ropes. This is Grambling's chance to eliminate at least one of those contenders. Yes, you still have Alcorn. You still got the Bayou Classic with Southern. And even though Arkansas Pine Bluff absolutely got punched in the mouth by Central Arkansas, which I honestly didn't see coming, but that
I did.
but that UAPB offense, like Doc said, they can move the ball, and and they have weapons. Hagens is probably one of the more underrated quarterbacks in all of HBCU football. So it's not going to be a walk for Grambling, but this is a really good start for them. And now we move to the other major HBCU D1 game of the weekend, and it really didn't turn out to be much of a contest. Of course, we're talking about Highway 66 down North Carolina Central. Who Trey Oliver? Trey Oliver is an outspoken. Like I said, as a young student reporter at Delaware State University, he was the DB's coach. He was brash in 2002. He's brash in 2024, and A&T went down there and they got ambushed. There's nothing else to it. 66-24. One of the biggest blowouts in the history of the Aggie Eagle Classic. And Coach Oliver had a ton to say after the game. He told those guys to take that 66 back to Greensboro with them. HBCU Game Day reported that. But when I had a chance to ask Coach Oliver if he had any regrets about those comments this morning in the MEAC Coaches Conference, he said, no. he said, I don't want to run up the score on anybody, but he said that A&T was onside, executing onside kicks, still throwing the ball. And he said, if you should have ran the ball and got out of there. And he said, well, if you guys want to throw the ball, we can throw the ball too. So Trey Oliver, God bless him, one of a kind. He's one of those coaches that we need in Black college football, so we can just get out of the coach speak of these conference of these.
That's
coaches.
the reason why I love Trey Oliver, man.
Mhm.
I love Trey Oliver, man, because it just the thing is, he's a class act. You know, he's not one. He doesn't try to, you know, he doesn't coach cheapness. You know, he's just, dude. He's all in. He's all in. He literally is the type of coach that a player would run through a brick wall for. You know, and just, dude, it's not genuine. You know, I get sometimes, and don't get me wrong, all coaches aren't built that way. You know, some are effective in terms of what they do, and it's, you know, they're successful for a reason. But Trey Oliver, dude, is just he is one. He just keeps it 100, and you just can't find, dude. Put like this, even when he does wrong, or if you say something that they may not disagree with, you're like, okay, but you know what? That's just Trey being Trey. You know, it's just that way. So,
All right, so as far as the game goes, 66-24, we've already, you know, parceled out that A&T got hands and feet put on them Saturday night. So my question for the panel, and any one of you guys can take this, is where does North Carolina A&T go from here? Because, I mean, they obviously went back up the road with their tail between their legs. And it's like now they go back into Coastal Athletic. No, actually, they go to South Carolina State next weekend. So, I mean, it's another rivalry game. So where does A&T go from here? You know, does it get better for them, or could it possibly get worse?
I'm gonna say it get worse. I'm gonna say it get worse. I was on the show last night with Josh Sims and company for HBCU Nightly. Josh told me, I asked him, why y'all have to put 66 on them like that? He specifically said that Coach Oliver was walking up and down the sideline talking to himself. So I just said, well, I guess he must have been channeling his inner KG, because that's what Kevin Garnett would usually do before an actual game. And he was like, yeah, it was like that. I was like, you know what? The pettiness aside, just to put the 66 on them, and then they got to go down to Orangeburg to play South Carolina State and Chennisberry, who I famously dubbed Black Thanos because he out there collecting Infinity Stones for his team. They're gonna have some issues, but as far as with you know, Aggie, you know, the Aggie faithful, they're upset. They are not taking this lightly. They are.
Doc, are they really upset though? Are they?
Oh,
are
yeah.
they really upset?
Yes, they upset.
Yes.
They are so upset that they was trying to get a GoFundMe to pay out the rest of the contract for the buyout.
Wow.
That's how upset these folks are. They want to go back to the winning ways, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, y'all shoot yourselves in the foot. First of all, you should never left the BA. I mean, and I understand that's an institutional and an athletic move right there. A lot of people said they did not want to move into that conference. It is what it is. Now you just gotta make your bed and lie in it. But at the same time, do I see this getting any better going down the line? And then you still, like I said, you still got CIAA play. Plus, you got to play Hampton, who is on the upstart. The only win I saw, the only win would be that Winston-Salem State win. They would go to me. I'm gonna be honest with you. They will go 1-11. I don't see anything that improved from last season.
You know what? You could say they shouldn't have left the MEAC. One can argue at the very least they probably shouldn't have left the Big South.
Yeah, that's honestly that's my
right. They have,
no, go ahead. No, good.
You're good.
Oh, okay. All right. So, yeah, I mean, if you were going to leave a conference, I mean, yeah, if you're going to leave the MEAC and stay in the Big South, then that would have probably been the better play.
Yeah.
But at this point, the A&T faithful, most of the people you talk to on social media say we don't care about the MEAC. You know, we're going to stick here in the CAA and grow, which is fine. I mean, because football isn't the end all and be all. I mean, their women's basketball team had a phenomenal season last year. They made it to the WNIT quarterfinals. So, I mean, their athletic program as a whole is not in trouble. Their football program is absolutely in trouble. Mm-hmm. And I think that, honestly, I think that's bigger than Vincent Brown, quite frankly. I don't think. I mean, granted, he hasn't. I mean, shown that he can develop talent or recruit talent, because these last 2 years for A&T have probably been the leanest that we've seen from that or program in a long time. I mean, and this is a group. I mean, this is a team under Bill Hayes that was unstoppable. I mean, as a young man, when I was a young boy, my mom used to take me to Delaware State. Not when it was Delaware State University, but Delaware State College. Tell you how long ago this was. And whenever A&T would visit, it would always be a show. They always had talent. Now it's like we're looking at one of the historic HBCU football programs as a laughingstock, and that's devastating to think about.
When you think about it too, they also the same program that went 0-27 back early in the 2000s too. Mm-hmm. So they were pretty much horrible. Like I said, they should never left the Big South. They was a game away from winning the Big South championship, and of course, if they would have stayed in the Big South, they would have stayed in the Big South. They would have merged with the OVC, and they would have had a time to play with Tennessee State and all those guys over there. To me, I think the program is indicative. I feel like when they let go of Sam Washington. I think that's where one of the bigger issues come.
Yeah, that's where I went to hell. Yeah,
right. When you let go of Sam Washington, and then you took so long to find a football coach, and he didn't have too much of a recruiting class. He couldn't get everything in place. Now you're in your second full season as the head coach. You had a full recruiting class. You had all the players coming in from the transfer portal, and you still look like this. You're going to end up 1-11, and somebody's going to go out there to talk to some rich alumni and say, "Hey, do you got $400,000 or $500,000 to pay this buyout right here?"
And if you want any indication of how upset Aggie Nation is, go to Jermaine Martin's Twitter account. That man
is he still acting? You know what? I'm not. So is he like recently?
Let me read to you everything he has said. I'm gonna read you everything in order. He said, this is all yesterday. I hope the whole athletics office learned a valuable lesson. If you owe that man, pay that man. And we all know who he's talking about. First of all, the attitude of your team starts with the head coach. I'm not seeing any attitude, no aggression, no risk being taken. How you paying these coordinators double what you were paying my coordinators, which his coordinators? What Coach Broadway used to say, y'all are stealing. He's still going. Do y'all know what I'm saying now? We did all this moving to get more money and better the school, coaches, etc. And now look, we getting laughed at. The grass is not always greener on the other side. And he is not done. He is not done. Oh, I'm not gonna read all of them, but I'm gonna read this last one because this last one is really telling. He says, I don't think Coach Brown is a bad coach, though. I just think he's a bad coach for A&T. HBCU football is different in a lot of ways, and it's not for everybody.
Amen.
He is somebody with his credentials. If you don't know about Jermaine Martin, his credentials, he is very important. And if he is saying this about your university, there's a lot of people behind the scenes that feel the exact same way he does, or there's people who he has influence with that are listening to him and are taking heed with what he is saying. So I hope A&T, as he said, their athletic department is listening and they are seeing that this is unacceptable.
I'm not I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna lie. I know, Chris, you went to Dale State.
Yes, sir.
If Dale State and A&T would play right now, Dale State will probably win this game by at least
25. Oh, yes, absolutely. And as you've seen,
that's how bad that team is.
And as you've seen, I'm not the most confident Delaware State alum right now, but if Lee Hall and his boys went to Greensboro or they came to Dover, I absolutely believe that A&T would get smoked. And that's sad because there used to be a time when A&T used to put the fear of God in a whole lot of teams. But now it's like I said, it's like now, yeah, and as Jared said, Jermaine Martin, he was one of their primary pieces when they went on those Celebration Bowl runs all those years. Well, not all those years ago, when that long ago, but
especially 2019 though.
Yeah, I mean that 2019 A&T team was a monster, and for him to say that, I mean, and this isn't him hiding behind a burner account. This isn't him writing an anonymous letter. This is him tying his name to it on social media, saying that this program is SOL. And when you're one of your best players of the last 25 years is saying your program is SOL, you got problems.
Hold on, Chris. Not just Jermaine Martin, though. Karan Prunty, after Sam Washington was fired, he talked about the problems with the athletic department when all the guys were entering the transfer portal. Remember, Bayshore Tootin, who was their leading rusher that year when they were about to win the Big South, he entered the transfer portal. He's now at Virginia Tech. Jacob Roberts, who was on that team, he went to Wake Forest. And then there was another linebacker, unless I'm thinking of BJ Davis, who went to East Carolina. So, and then in response to that, he talked about all the things that were going wrong with the athletic department, talking about the team not being heard. I don't have the direct tweets in front of me. I'd have to look them up, but he's still on the team now. That's the point.
I was about to say he's still there though, right?
Yes, he's still there. And he will be one of the top recruited guys in this year's draft process. Probably could end up in the UFL this year. But he's somebody who was still on the roster. And at that time, after Sam Washington was let go, he was adamant about the athletic department not listening to the players, not listening to anybody telling them what they were doing was not right. So this is not something that is just new. This has been happening years ago with somebody who was actively on your roster now, who entered the transfer portal and then just decided to stay. So I'm with you, Doc. I don't know if I could see them winning another game because I was at the Hampton Howard game. If that Hampton team loses to North Carolina A&T, I'd be shocked. Because they gave that Morgan State defense all they can handle. We know how good that Morgan State defense is, even without Eric Hunter. So I don't see any chance that they beat Hampton this year.
So I'm gonna pull up their schedule because they got South Carolina State this weekend.
You pulling up whose schedule? You talking about A&T?
Yeah.
That's a toss-up. I feel South Carolina State is probably a toss-up. I feel like that should be the game that Jaden Broughton has his first big.
He should go off.
Yeah, that should be his arrival game. So I'm going to pick South Carolina State to win that game. It all depends on Eric Phoenix's decision making. If Eric Phoenix makes the right decisions and he goes through his progressions and he just doesn't turn the ball over, I don't see there any chance that A&T wins that game.
So after they play South Carolina State, they're on the road to Richmond. And Richmond, how they look to playing Delaware State, it might be, but I think Richmond is like we're teed off because they feel like they shouldn't have gave Delaware State that many points in the game on Saturday. Then they got G-Hope against in Hampton. And like we said, Hampton is pretty much of a.
So they're playing Hampton for homecoming. They're playing Hampton for homecoming.
I'm gonna tell you what.
They lose that game.
If Chris Zealous plays that game like he played against Howard, I don't see A&T winning that game.
No turnovers in the game, and just be a game manager, you can win the game. Then they go to Campbell. They have William and Mary coming to A&T. They're on the road to Villanova. They play Towson, and they host Elon at the last game of the season.
I'm gonna just say this: we saw what Elon did.
Yeah, exactly. I was just thinking.
Ain't no way they.
I was just thinking what Elon did in North Carolina Central. Right.
And
right.
And now they're not beating Towson. I don't see them beating Villanova. Campbell had a great offseason. They picked up a lot of talent. Haven't gotten the chance to watch them, but I can't see them beating them. So it's looking bleak. It's looking bleak.
Like they play Delaware. They don't play New Hampshire, Rhode Island, Stony Brook, Monmouth, or even Albany in Maine. Like they don't play those top teams right there in the CIAA. They already
played UD. UD smoked them.
Oh yeah, UD smoked them. They don't play New Hampshire, so they don't play those teams. That you playing almost the middle of the pack, bottom part of the conference, and you still gonna get smoked like that, man. That tells me it's not the players. That tells me it's the coaching.
Yeah, because honestly, Winston-Salem State should have won that game.
Yes, they should have. And then you would be like, well, you're 0-12.
and that's the crazy part, man. It's just like, yeah, and for any Aggie that catches this on the flip, trust us. This is not us, coming from a place of disrespect, because I just gave A&T their flowers for being one of the great programs. Right now, it's looking very bleak. No Memphis. So, you guys really just going to have to figure out what you're going to do with this whole CAA situation. Yes, Jared?
I'm going to just repeat my PSA.
Okay, go right ahead.
Nobody hates on your institution. We are called HBCU Sports. Doc's name is HBCU Overdrive. Why would we hate on another HBCU unless it's one of our rivals, obviously? But we have no reason to want to see you not succeed.
Yeah.
If you don't succeed, it hurts us. You being bad hurts us more than you being good hurts us. So there's no reason for you to think that we are hating on your institution. There are people within your institution talking about how bad your team is. So that should tell you all you need to know. We do not hate you.
Hey Jared, you know how you seen the picture of Wolverine, and he has a picture frame, and he's looking at Jean Grey in the picture frame, like that old thing right there. Hey, y'all not going back to no celebration bowls. You ain't going to no playoffs. You ain't doing anything. You're going to suffer because you made that decision to go to that conference. Hey, y'all could go back and talk about yesteryear, because that was what, 5 years ago? It's 5 years. Been 5 years since your last celebration bowl appearance and won a thing. You just gonna be looking like this. I miss my old flame. I miss her.
Look at them old pictures of Tariq.
Looking at the old pictures.
Looking at them old pictures of Rod Broadway, talking about Rod Broadway, looking at the video of saying, "Bring me my money." You ain't them days.
They were saying Washington. They were saying Washington.
I know. But I'm just saying, looking at the video. But,
yeah. Or in the case of Rod Broadway, when he was saying in the press conference, "Hey man, we just keep it simple. All we do is just make chicken. We just make chicken."
Just remember the good times.
They're not making chicken anymore.
Remember them years when you had them 3 straight years when you beat a FBS opponent. Remember them years when you put 64 on Alcorn in a celebration bowl. Remember the good times, because those are in the past. You gotta look toward. You gotta look for the future now.
Eric, it's not happening, buddy. They're not coming back. I mean, we've talked about this many times, and A&T has sworn that they are better off without the MEAC, and I'm not gonna say anything to the contrary. If they feel like they are in a better position in the Coastal, God bless. But right now, God bless. Woo, Lord have mercy.
It's teams in the CIAA that's better than this team right here.
Ooh, wow. Ooh,
yeah, wow. I took a stab at it, but
I'm team CIAA, so I can't disagree. I'm team CIAA, so
wow.
We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, let's go ahead. Let's go ahead and talk
Let's
about the CIAA.
let's talk about the CIAA. Speaking of the CIAA, what a segue, right?
And North Carolina had the North Carolina segment of the CIAA had a phenomenal weekend. Winston-Salem State shocked Virginia State at in Ettrick or Petersburg, whichever one of the towns it is, 15-14. And Johnson C. Smith has proved that they are indeed the real McCoy or the real Smith, as it were. Defeating Virginia Union, defending CIAA champion Virginia Union 21-16. This is the first time Johnson C. Smith has started 4-0 in football since 1982. The number one song in the country, I believe, was "Endless Love" by Diana Ross and Lionel Richie.
Wow.
I was 3 years old.
I was one. I was one. So I can't. I think Ken might be the only one that can even remember. And I don't even think he was paying attention then.
Okay, since we dating ourselves, I was a high school freshman.
and of course, Jared wasn't with us at this time. He had to make his arrival.
God was blessing me. He was forming me to be the man I am today.
Amen. So yes, Johnson C. Smith has not been good in football in a very long time, but they are very good right now. So let's have a discussion. Is Johnson C. Smith, formerly known as Biddle College, the favorite in the Central Intercollegiate Athletic Association?
So I'll pop it off since I'm the CIAA guy on the panel. Yes, they are. They are. They play so well. They play so well. They're so in sync. I think last year was a huge confidence builder for them. I think the no division thing is really played to their advantage. And I think they're taking full advantage of the opportunities that they are giving them. Now they got a tough stretch going forward. They got Virginia State, they got Winston-Salem State, they got Shaw, who also put a hurting on Lincoln this weekend, and then they got Fayetteville State. I'm not sure I've already said that, but they got a tough schedule going forward. So then them, Winston-Salem State, Shaw, Fayetteville State, and of course my Bulldogs. And then you still got Virginia State and Virginia Union that could potentially make a push. So
they got Bluefield next. They got Bluefield next.
They got Bluefield next. Yeah,
they got Bluefield next. That's gonna be a win. But
5-0.
Yeah, that 5-0. Don't worry about that. So I'm more worried about the games after that. So this year's CIAA is looking like last year's SIAC, where there could be any team that could potentially be in the mix to be there at the CIAA championship game. But right now, Johnson C. Smith is a favorite, and they took down the big dog. They took down the big dog. They proved that they can get a win against a juggernaut team that is for real. They are not some phony team. Virginia Union is still very good. They can still potentially make a push to be in the CIAA championship game this year. So Johnson C. Smith, to me, is absolutely for real.
But you got a log jam though in the CIAA, because you still got of course you got Fayetteville State, you got Shaw, you got Elizabeth City State is coming along also. Also, of course, your alma mater, Bowie State, and then of course Livingstone is pretty much in play. So it is a big log jam, and everybody has at least 2 wins on the season. Smith is the only one that has 2 conference wins or 1 conference win right now. 1 or 2.
So they beat Union this week, and they beat Lincoln last week. So yeah, 2.
So they 2-0. So I mean, like I said, the biggest game to me on that schedule is going to be, of course, the Virginia State game, but also the Fayetteville State game too, because I think they go to, I don't know if they go to Fayetteville or they're at home. They're hosting them, yeah. So that is going to be that's a tough stretch.
Yeah, I'd if I could say anything to Johnson C. Smith, I'd say seize the moment. This is your time. You got all the talent. You got Quavarius Crouch. You got Brevin Caldwell on offense. The question was, how good can your offense be? You got the talent on the offensive end. You already got Benari Black in that defensive unit that is just as good and needs just as much praise as that offense has been getting. By the way, Brevin Caldwell is still my front runner to be the CIAA Offensive Player of the Year. He has been absolutely spectacular. This weekend was the first receiving touchdown that didn't go to Brevin Caldwell. So that's how dominant he's been. He already has 6 on the season, tying his total from last season. So that's how good he has been and this offense has been. So this is their time. They have to seize this moment because I'm not sure it could get any better for Johnson C. Smith going forward. Even if it does, like, you always want to seize any opportunity you could possibly get. Bowie had their stretch where they had to get over the hump when they went to the CIAA championship game 2 years in a row and lost to Winston-Salem State. Then they finally won it in 2018. But not too many teams get that opportunity when they lose a couple or they're not able to get over that hump. So I think this is their best opportunity that we've seen them have a chance to be a contender in a while. And I think they just got to go through the finish line. They got to go through a gauntlet to get there. We already talked about the remaining teams that they have to go through, but all you have to do is just do what you've been doing and improving on what you already been doing. And I think they can get it done. I really like what I'm seeing from them. And I can't wait to watch them going forward. Not this weekend though. That's a win. We don't need to watch that.
And so wait a minute. I think we have a fifth.
Come
member.
on in. Come on in. Come on in.
Ladies and gentlemen, HBCU Sports Senior Editor Kendrick Marshall has joined us. Kendrick, how you doing tonight, sir?
Toddlers. That's
Don't blame that on toddlers.
Oh, yes, I'm gonna blame it on
Nope. I'm not gonna let you blame that on toddler.
He pump faked me like 4 times. He was asleep, and then got up every time. So,
Kendrick, this isn't over, okay? We're gonna get back to you at the end of the show. Just want you to know.
Oh my God.
You've already had your wins this weekend. You don't need any more.
ain't now we're close to done. But I'm taking a professional approach and we're gonna do this show. But boy, when we get all the important stuff out of the way, I got plenty of stuff to say, man. Oh yeah. All right. Back to the CIAA.
Well, actually, we're going to move on to the SIAC.
Now. Okay.
And there was one big win that will probably last throughout the season. Is probably the game of the year in Black college football. This is the second straight week Clark Atlanta has been involved in a game that had game of the year potential.
Look, man.
They were down 31. They were down 31-7 at one point.
Mm-hmm.
They were down 34-14 at halftime to Bethune-Cookman at the Division I, as probably people would have expected. However, there's a new sheriff in town, and his name is Teddy Keaton, and he has brought an unbelievable cavalry with him, led by that fearless gunslinger David Wright III, who might be the best quarterback in all of Black college football. And he has a freshman kicker named Ronaldo Cabrera, who has a foot on par with NFL kickers. How do we know this? He kicked a 55-yarder at the gun to lift Clark Atlanta for the first time in 59 years over Bethune-Cookman, 38-37. This is the best start for a Clark or an Atlanta, because remember, folks, if you're new, Clark Atlanta merged in 1988 because there was a Clark Atlanta and then there was a Clark University, there was Atlanta University. They merged and became Clark Atlanta in 1988. But this is the best start for either one of those programs since 1974. None of us except for Ken were born at that particular point in time. So this is some back in the day foolishness in Division II, and we loving every second of it. So I'll ask the question like I asked the Johnson C. Smith. Is Clark Atlanta the SIAC frontrunner? I'll open the floor.
And I'll again pop this off because as the Division II guy, I gotta gloat about my Division II brethren showing up against Bethune-Cookman. First of all, let me give a disclaimer. We have plenty of time to talk about Bethune-Cookman and how disappointing they have been.
Whew,
let's not diminish what Clark Atlanta did. Let's give Clark Atlanta their flowers. They could have phoned it in. They could have just said, let's finish this game out. Let's run a couple of plays. Let's just run the clock out. We're going to go on back to Atlanta, and we're going to win the SIAC. But Teddy Keaton, I don't know if you guys saw, but he posted his halftime speech in that locker room. And their tagline was, be the reason. And every single player on that Clark Atlanta team went out on that field, and they took those words to heart, and they were the reason, each individually, they were the reason why they came back and they won that game. I love seeing that. I love seeing that because it's the same thing with, Virginia University Lynchburg when they were down against Lane last year. They were down like 3-4 scores against Lane on their homecoming, and Virginia University Lynchburg powered back and they won that game. And we know the kind of dumpster fire that Virginia University Lynchburg has been. So it's like it's just showing that resilience. It doesn't matter what level you play at. If you're on that field and you play your best, you have a chance to win. And Clark Atlanta is something to behold, man. Teddy Keaton, he is a coach that you just want to run through a brick wall for. You talk about any coach in HBCU football history, Trey Oliver, Rod Broadway, Buddy Pugh, all those guys. Teddy Keaton is that next guy that is going to cement his name as the next great HBCU football coach. He is building something with Clark Atlanta, and there are going to be teams that are sitting back and will watch what he does with Clark Atlanta and will say, we want that man to be the head of our program. He has so much talent on his roster. We already know about David Wright, but the receivers that he has, Jamal Jones, Armani Harris, Virgil Young, like they have so many big playmakers in that passing game. And then that defense, Dalil Wilkins and all those guys that just make plays when it matters. Like what I really hope is that they are able to finish the job. Because we've seen over the past few years with the Division II teams that got upsets over FCS programs. Virginia State beat Norfolk State. They didn't win the CIAA. You had Lane beat, who was it, Tennessee State a couple of years ago. They don't win the SIC. You had there was another team that had a FCS upset last year. But we've had too many FCS upsets at the Division II level, and none of the teams win their division. Bowie State, we beat, Delaware State. And then we go and have a 6-4 season. We got to have a team that finishes the job and wins the conference to cement your name in history. And Clark Atlanta is the next team that has the chance to do that. It's not looking like it's going to be much trouble because you have an SIAC that is depleted from what it was last year. Even though they still produce some great football on the field, there's no team that has really set themselves apart like Clark Atlanta has or like Benedict did last year. So this is the Clark Atlanta's conference to lose, and I'm loving watching every single second of it.
Really quickly before I let anybody else go, I was talking about this game on Twitter, and a Tennessee State alum, because we were talking about how Teddy Keaton's done a great job at Clark Atlanta. I said a Division I school is going to try to snatch him up, and this Tennessee State alum said, "I know a school in Nashville / and then cut himself short and said, well, never mind." So I don't know if Eddie George is on the hot seat yet or not, but if Teddy Keaton were to move up to a HBCU on a Division I level, hey Eric, mind your business, man.
I was wondering if you saw that.
I just saw it out the corner of my eye. Mind your business, man. We rebuilding right now. Give us a couple years. Shoot. But I don't know if Eddie George is on the hot seat, but I just found that comment to be hilarious. But yes, Teddy Keaton has done a phenomenal job, and it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. Doc, your thoughts?
There's might be a opening over in the 757 area with Behold.
Where?
757.
Behold.
With the Behold.
With your best friend.
Beholders.
Oh,
Hey, or you can say he'll make his way over to the 256, 205, wherever area code that is in Huntsville.
I was just about to say that.
Oh yeah.
I was just about to say that.
Oh yeah. I can see that happening
Because
too.
you can see something like that happening right there. And if push come to shove, however Southern does, them folks in Baton Rouge they could be the Lulus sometimes.
Not after 1 year. Not then they're not gonna do that after 1 year.
They did that. they did it with
but
Rollins.
they did it with but I don't I'd be surprised if they did that after 1 year.
Right.
What about Daytona Beach, Doc?
The way that happened, man, he might have made his house down there right now. Like seriously. I said this. David Wright III is the best quarterback in all of HBCU football. To me, there are two teams, and they ain't in Division I, are the best teams in HBCU football right now. That is Clark Atlanta, and that is Johnson C. Smith. So I stick to my saying. What I saw on Saturday, really, I listened to it, and I had to go back and rewatch the game because of all, from when I'm listening, I just want to see what really happened. I'm looking at it like, okay, you have a 31-7 lead. You get to halftime, you up 34-14. There is no way that you let them come back, that you even let them score 24 straight points like that, and not expect for you to win the game. You after halftime, you only scored 3. And the play of the game to me was when Wright threw the interception and Bethune is going on the return. It was looking like it was clear sailing, right? Whoever it was for Clark came in and knocked the ball out. They recovered the interception back almost where the original line of scrimmage was. And I think that changed the whole momentum of the game right there, because they felt like, look, we could play with these guys. Armani Harris, he is that dude, all number like 5'7", 5'8", and he is going after. He was giving those DBs the business on Saturday. Defense played opportunistic. Like I said, they gave, Cam Ransom gave up. He ran for 100 yards and he threw for like 387. So he almost had 500 yards of total offense just by himself. Those receivers, it's like you can't keep up with them because they quick, and it's the offense that they run is quick hitches, is quick slants, is outs, is 5-yard outs, is 3-yard ends, is drags, it's mesh, it's a perfect symphony out there on the football field, and the maestro is David Wright III. So to me, they are the real deal. But within the SIAC, it doesn't get any easier for them because they still have to play the miles. You still have to play. You have to play. I think they got to play Lane. You got to play.
They got to play Savannah State,
who is in Savannah State, and they don't have. I don't think they have Benedict on the schedule this year, do they?
No. Mm-hmm.
No. Okay, so they have every opportunity to win the whole thing and get it to the playoff. But it's crazy. I don't, for D2, they don't count the D1 wins. I think that's crazy. But
yeah, I was just gonna say that watching, the first few weeks of SIAC versus the CIAA, I've just been shocked that, as Jared said, how the conferences have flip-flopped, because last year the SIAC was so much fun, and you didn't know who was going to be number one from week to week. Now the CIAA has taken that stance, and the SIAC has kind of regressed to the mean a little bit. I think it's probably because that conference is a little, I don't know if you call 12, 13 teams oversaturated, but that was a conference that could have benefited from keeping division. The only problem was that they're so Eastern Seaboard heavy that they had to, go back to one division, because you only had 5 teams in the West at one point. So it's just been hard for them to kind of sort of get, a good format for that conference. And last year, the first year back to one division was cool, but now it seems like, everything is sort of got kind of like caught up with them. But the CIAA has just been, D2 has been very intriguing across the board. And I mean, I think that's the beauty of black college football as it is right now, that the D1s are still filling themselves out. I mean, they've played FBS teams, they played comparable PWI competition. There hasn't been a lot of MEAC, conference games, SWAC conference games as of yet. So this is why we do this. We have fun talking black college football on this program, as you can see. And I think that's pretty much all the topics we had lined up for this week. Hampton
Howard.
Oh yeah. We can't forget that one. Whew. Larry Scott, my guy. He was so disappointed in the MEAC coaches call this weekend. This morning. But he's focused on the task at hand. But however, we must discuss the Truth and Services Classic, aka the Battle of the Real HU. And I'll never forget that
Hampton Institute.
Yeah, he did say that in the conference, and I put it in the story, and I was like, yeah, he's really serious about this. And now he's got to kind of walk that back a little bit, because the Institute has now won 8 straight against Howard after a 27-20 victory, which our Jared Hoffman was on the scene for. So, Jared, how did it happen?
Just missed opportunities. Too many missed opportunities. Howard had so many golden opportunities to win that game, but just couldn't take it. They had a receiver fly open on an out route, not an out route, a slant route, but the quarterback couldn't get it to him, so he just checked it down. Then you had they were on the 1-yard line, and they had a chance to run it into the end zone, but then they fumbled before they got into the end zone. Then they had a wide open touchdown pass called back because of a penalty. That's 21 points right there, 18 points pending the extra point right there that they had on a silver platter that doesn't go their way. And then they just weren't able to stop Hampton's offense. Chris Zealous ran rough shot through the Howard defense. Howard just didn't seem like they knew what to do. They didn't seem like they knew how to stop Hampton, and Chris Zealous was just having his way with them. And that's even without Elijah Burris having much of an impact on the game. There was, I forget the other back who had a breakout performance in that game, had 2 touchdowns for them. They could not stop Hampton's run game. They couldn't stop him at all. And I know that the 2 quarterback look that Hampton's been going for, the 2 quarterback look, Chris Zealous is the guy. Chris Zealous, to me, is the guy. He was absolutely spectacular against Howard. And, you just got to feel for Kenny Gallup, because his college career is coming to an end, and that was his last chance to get a win over Hampton. And they just could not get the proverbial monkey off their back against them. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they have to go back to the drawing board, but you could tell that they really wanted that game. They walked off the field without shaking hands with Hampton, and that really got some Hampton. They got a lot of Howard people, actually, not even Hampton people. It got a lot of Howard people upset that Howard walked off the field without even shaking hands. And I get it. They were talking about leading up into the game, how much it meant for them to get out to end that losing streak, and how bad they wanted to win that game. But you gotta be respectful in battle. I get it. It's a rivalry and all that type stuff, but no, there was no fighting in the game. There was no bad blood in the game that I saw. that maybe there was some trash talk that I didn't get to hear that maybe they took disrespectfully, but you got to keep that same energy. You talked about how bad you wanted this game, and look, so if you played your best, you just gotta say, hey, they were the better team this game. Go shake their hands, because you can't give people the appearance that you're being a bad sport or that you're being a sore loser. You know, you got to understand that you got to take the high road, because that's how. Now, if you don't care, cool. Maybe what I'm saying is just a bunch of lip service, but you got to understand that you're gonna look bad in the aftermath, because now look at how we're looking at you. You didn't play the way that people expected you, and how you expected yourself to play, and now you're walking off the field taking your L and not even giving any kind of respect in the interim, you know. So I think it's a good win for Hampton, and hopefully it carries over into the CIAA this year, and they have an unexpected run and potentially claim a title. You know, do I think they're good enough to claim a title? I don't know. You know, Howard and Norfolk State is not who they're going to see in the CIAA, but hey, I think this is something that can give them some momentum going forward.
Hey, real quick, and I want to ask a question. I guess this will go to Chris, but before I do, let me just simply say to the folks who are watching us on Twitter X, you do have the option to comment. All you have to do is just hit that live button on Twitter, and the chat forum will come up. And if you have a comment you want to make, by all means, feel free to do so. So following up on what Jared said, and about Howard and Hampton not shaking hands after the game, Chris, I didn't get a chance to listen to me at call. Do you recall Coach making any mention about that?
No, he didn't.
About not. What did anyone even ask? Do you know?
No one asked, and that's I actually should ask that question honestly, but no one asked about that. I mean, everyone was just moving on to them playing Princeton this week, which I get, because Howard is considered a Black Ivy, and of course they're playing a legit Ivy League school. But yes, no one asked about the handshake, so we didn't really get a definitive reason as to why Howard, didn't shake hands with Hampton, unfortunately.
And and to be fair, it's not really that big of a deal, but to me, I mainly brought it up because the people that I was in the booth with, they pointed it out that they were walking off the field without shaking hands. So it's not really that big of a deal, but you got to understand that this was a Hampton media member that pointed it out to me that they were walking out the field without shaking hands. So if he's saying, and also a lot of Hampton's fans were leaving well before the game was over. They were leaving well before the game is over. So it's just a lot. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of frustration with Howard. The season isn't going the way that they want. They've wanted it to, defending their MEAC title, and it's not looking like they're going to go back to the Celebration Bowl this year with the way that everything is going out. But you never know. It's looking like it's North Carolina Central versus everybody at this point. But I think it's just a lot of frustration. It's just
they still got some time though. They still have some time though.
Yeah, they do.
It would at least 3 weeks before they even begin playing their MEAC schedule. So, you never know. Maybe for all we know, well, they've got Princeton. Who else? Princeton and Sacred. Is it Sacred? I forgot. They got some
Sacred Heart, I think.
Yeah. So they still got some. I don't know if we want to call them warm-up games, but they've got some stiff competition to play the next 2 to 3 weeks before they go into the MEAC. So I don't know if I want to just really count them out yet, but I understand your point based on what we've seen up to this point.
Shout out to my mama.
Hey, Miss Kathy, how you doing, lady? Yes, ma'am.
So Howard
about Hampton? No. But how you doing, Miss Kathy?
So Howard versus Hampton is the battle of who got the highest SATs. Say, cuz I got a 1300, man. I got a 1450. What's up? Like, who got the biggest endowment again? This is Endowment Bowl part 2. Like, to me, I don't know. From what I heard, Princeton is not that good this season, so I think this might be This could be an easy game for Howard to get right here.
Okay.
But then again, it's Howard and it's Larry Scott calling the plays on offense.
Wow.
Cold-blooded.
Yeah. Howard got Sacred Heart in Princeton, and then they got Tennessee State coming up on
that's a homecoming.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That is homecoming, huh? Ooh. Okay.
Charging folks $250 for that homecoming.
If transitive property means anything, Sacred Heart looked terrible against my alma mater. So by that token, Howard should probably win that game by 3 scores.
Right.
By 3 scores.
Okay.
I mean,
are we done?
He just want to talk trash to Kendrick.
I'm trying to be professional here.
That's why I'm here.
I already got it done, man.
I did want to make a real quick point. Doc said it's the battle of SAT scores. I did want to say also respectfully, it's the battle of the baddies too. Howard and
Hampton.
Hampton.
Say nothing. Come, my mama in the chat. So I'm.
I mean, no disrespect to Miss Kathy, obviously, but I'm, I as a former MEAC student reporter who had a chance to cover his fair share of games at both Howard and Hampton. Yeah, respectfully, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay. My cousin graduated from Howard though, like 2 years ago, but I've never been to Howard.
So, Kendrick.
No, here we go.
I'm gonna just go ahead, sit back, enjoy the show.
Yep.
Kendrick.
Is that a weapon you got, man?
No, man. This is a letter opener. I just playing with something here, but I got a question for you, son.
Go ahead, man.
Who's Jackson State's daddy?
Oh God.
That sounds very suspect right now, Kim Rashad.
Who's Jackson State's daddy?
Yo. It ain't y'all, man.
Doc.
It definitely ain't y'all, man.
Doc. You can pass if you can pass some notes to Kendrick. Doc, who's Jackson State's daddy?
He said, "Did you watch the game, bro? Did you watch the game? Because it was horrible."
Kendrick,
it was horrible.
Who's Jackson State's daddy?
What are you doing, man?
First, why? You know what? Because let me tell you something, man.
Satisfaction you got doing this, man?
Six satisfaction. Man, do you look? Let me tell you something, man. Keep in mind, it was your school. It was your school that had the audacity to call the illustrious fan base at Grambling pathetic. Remember that? I thought that was a rather pathetic thing to say.
Well,
especially coming from a guy. Well, you know what? I'm not going to go there. But Kendrick, who's your daddy? Who's Jackson State's daddy?
See, Ken Rashad trying to be professional when he's not being professional.
I
He's expecting me to answer that question.
This is a petty session. This is look. Notice we got all that other stuff out of the way. We got all that other stuff out of the way because
I'm taking my pick.
Y'all tried every way y'all could to spend it. I'm gonna just go ahead now. I'm gonna just go ahead and call KC 1400 Media for that damn tweet that they put out there talking about. I got to give it to them. They beat our asses. You know what? We never play well in the hole. You know what? Damn it! You don't ever play well when we play you at home either. It was, I think, 45 to 20.
Wait a minute. The last time y'all came to Jackson State,
if you want to take pleasure in going over 2 years, I'm talking about 70 years of dominance, Kendrick. 70 years.
Okay,
and we won 45 times.
What about the last 7 overall?
Is that what you feel good? Does that make you feel good?
Yeah, I mean, real good.
Well, this is what KC 1400 Media. Well, we never played well in the hole. Damn it, you don't ever play well when we play you guys at our home at Grambling East. Oh God, you look. I you know what? I should have put that graphic up there. But it's just simple math. Grambling is greater than Jackson State, period. The numbers dictated. You might get a win every out of 10 years, you might get 3. That's literally what the trend is right now. You've won 3 times in the last 10 years, Kendrick. It's okay. It is okay.
Amount of coaches y'all had in 10 years.
And then on top of that, no, but I'm not finished. I told you I wouldn't finish. You know what made this? You know what made this ass beating so damn bad? Because you and I've been to multiple reports. 2 hours before the game, doing pregame warm-ups, your members of your team, and I don't know why you would do this. Members of your team disrespected that G on the field. Now, I'm dead serious when I say this, and this is not if Grambling folks don't take anything else seriously about anything, do know the one thing you don't play with is Eddie Robinson, his legacy, and that damn G on the 50-yard line in the field. You think I'm lying? Because it wasn't that long ago when Doug Williams was the coach. You remember that? Do y'all remember
Which one, the first or the second time?
So you know what I'm talking about. It was against Jackson State at Grambling. All right. Pre-game warm-up. Doug Williams asked the coaching staff at Jackson State several times, hey, coach, tell your players don't go through the tiger head. And he was like, whatever. So all I know is some stuff happened. There was some fisticuffs. And when it was all said and done, I forgot who the coach was. One of the assistant coaches at Jackson State left away with a black eye due to a right-hand hook that Doug Williams connected him with. I'm trying to tell you guys, man. You don't. I'm not. If you can talk about, look, everybody makes jokes. Everybody's got the one thing though that Gramblinites don't play with is you don't play with Eddie Robinson and you don't play around with that G. One of the players said, "Hey, can you move off the G?" And from what I understand, one of the assistant coaches said, "You know what, man? When it's all said and done, we're gonna make this Jackson, Mississippi." And he was like, "Oh, okay, it's on now." So, thus, we had to remind him who Jackson State's daddy was. So, Kendrick Marshall, I'll ask you again, who's Jackson State's daddy?
All I gotta say is, at least we didn't take the G off the field like
you couldn't do that.
Jackson did.
You barely can take the JSU off the field because you don't own that stadium. You don't even know the grass over there in Mississippi right now. So you might want to stop about trying to take somebody.
That stadium. We ain't going.
The stadium is owned by the school, man. What you talking about, man?
I'm just saying. Well, okay, you're right. You just got to that point, but it wasn't that long ago.
I'm just saying, straight, man. At least do that.
Look.
It wasn't. Look, I'm just saying, it wasn't that long ago. Finally, when did y'all take over ownership of that stadium?
2011.
Okay, like I said, it wasn't that long ago.
You got a point.
Wasn't that long ago? Okay, minutia. Okay, I'm just saying, Kendrick. I just want you to know this might go on for a few weeks.
Oh, it will.
I'm taking my pick back. I got Prairie View in the middle this on Saturday.
Hey, man, look, it's all good, Kendrick. I'm just saying.
This is
what is
it?
Hey. So, I'm trying to understand. I think it's a pretty nice picture. What's this, Kendrick?
Why you got on Southern colors, man? You're
Southern colors. Is that what you say?
Yes.
So now you defend Southern University now?
No, I'm not defending anybody. I'm asking you a direct question. Why are you wearing Southern colors?
I'm not wearing Southern colors.
Okay.
I'm just simply wearing a very nice light blue wool blazer.
It look like what the boom.
Well,
yeah, man, you got on boom colors, man.
Well, I mean, You know, but hold up. Well, so Kendrick, what are we trying to prove here?
I'm trying to prove you're not a real grandmother, man. You take this nice photograph wearing not your school colors.
Okay. It still doesn't remove the fact that Grambling is Jackson State's daddy.
This is a very dad photo, though. I will say that, though.
Kendrick.
Ken took that photo at a serious right there.
Kendrick.
Yeah, you took that photo at serious photography, did you?
Kendrick. No, actually, I didn't. Kendrick.
Yes.
Who's Jackson State's daddy? You can put up me in blue blazers. You can deflect all you want, but just know my stadium's greater than yours. My school is greater than yours. Okay. All right. So look, this has been a great show.
Oh, I got a headache, man.
Hold on. Hold on. My man, Israel. And you wonder why your viewership is low. Who said our viewership was low? How is our viewership low? What do you base this on, Brother Kerry? Based on what? But okay. Doc, you want to say something? Because you guys are awfully quiet. I mean,
I think Jared wants to say something.
What you want to say, Jared?
I'll wait until to see if Kendrick or Doc want to say anything.
Okay. All right.
Well, Mr. Rashad, we both stay in the same city. Gonna have to come see me. If you're going to the State Fair Classic this weekend, you gotta see me. Because I'm gonna be.
Oh, hold up. You talking about the 23 people watching on YouTube? Okay, but what about the number of people watching right now on Facebook and on Twitter? So I'm not complaining about our viewership, but it still doesn't erase the fact that Jackson State got their ass beat Saturday. The viewership for that game was very high, by the way. Very high. There were a lot of people there to witness that. Hey, Brother Kerry, who's Jackson State's daddy? You type it in. Come on, you can type it in the chat. Come on.
Don't even entertain that question, man. Don't even entertain that.
That's my uncle right
This is.
Oh man.
Oh no, it's getting personal in the chat, man. It's getting real personal. But I will say this though, Ken, like y'all got to sell out for the first time only because Jackson State showed up.
What?
We're the main attraction.
Wait a minute. Say what?
Nobody's coming to the hole to watch you play Tuskegee.
So
nobody coming to the hole to watch y'all play.
10,000 people came to see Tuskegee. Did you see the attendance?
People coming to see
this is
us.
But this is
the Ringling Brothers and Bowman Bailey Circus, as the former Jackson State coach once said.
This is what you Jackson State folks
and
do.
y'all should be very, very thankful for our attendance.
We should be thankful for your attendance. See, that's the thing.
Yes.
Hey, if you got to play the attendance card to make you happy, that's fine. But the last I checked, attendance don't win championships. Y'all been winning the attendance. Y'all done had large numbers of crowds for I don't know how long, but guess what? How many times has it resulted in a win over your daddy? All it resulted in is just more people going home
with a win over their alleged daddy. Then there's 2 SWAC championships in the last 3 years. Celebration Bowl 2 out of the last 4 years. And where's Grambling been in that time? Where y'all been? Okay, go gloat over winning this one game. Have y'all coach get a Gatorade shower over winning a regular season game.
We gonna see y'all.
No,
we gonna see y'all.
See, you repeating stuff you heard folks on. No, that Gatorade shower
I
had
ain't
nothing
repeating
to
anything,
do.
man. I ain't like
We gon'
who
hold
celebrates
on.
a regular season win with a Gatorade shower like that? Who does
Hold
that?
on. We gonna see y'all in December.
Man, look, y'all.
Doc, they ain't gonna make it, man. They ain't gonna make it. They gonna try. They're gonna find a way to mess it up before they get there. They're gonna end up losing the Prairie if you watch. Don't let Bud McDowell beat you, man, or he gonna be your daddy. Don't let Bud McDowell beat you, man.
Yo. Oh, this is the damnedest show I've ever been a part of. Oh my God.
And then y'all got Terrence Graves at Southern. He known to win one game, at least one, and that's against y'all. So why you over there talking?
If I can end the show on a non-petty note,
please do.
I would just like to give a shout out to two guys at the NFL level who had big days yesterday.
Oh, yes.
Emmanuel Wilson I don't want to aggravate Kendrick any longer, so I'm not going to say the team he plays for, but he scored his first NFL touchdown last night on a 35-yard run. A 35-yard reception, had a career high 50 rushing yards on 12 attempts last night. And Xavier Smith was the star of yesterday, had his first NFL game
I watched that game. Yes.
On his first NFL touch.
For my beloved Rams.
He came through. A 38-yard punt return that put the Rams at midfield, and the Rams got themselves in field goal position to kick a game-winning field goal. I believe it was
through
against the San Francisco 49ers. Big game for him. Shout out to those two guys. It's been a rough battle for Xavier Smith finding a roster spot on that loaded receiver group for the Los Angeles Rams. And with injuries depleting the Rams at the receiver position, he got an opportunity to be upgraded to the active roster and was activated for this game the night before, on Friday, and he called his mom to told her that he was being activated for the game, and she flew out from Florida to LA for that game, and he gave her that game ball. So shout out to him. Emmanuel Wilson has been taking full advantage of the opportunities that has been given him with his team's injuries at running back, and Aaron Jones obviously now with Minnesota. AJ Dillon is on IR right now. So, and with Josh Jacobs having the struggles he's had, he really came through for his team yesterday. So I just wanted to highlight those guys and their incredible games that they had last night, and hope it continues. Sorry, I had to end it on a non-petty note. But
no, man, it's a great note. This ain't petty. And look, man, this is all good. For those of you who have no idea, this is all just friendly banter. Kendrick is like a little brother to me, man. I just want you to know this is. You think this is something when we're on here? You ought to see what we.
Oh
man, listen.
Y'all saw what was not on camera
behind the scenes. Lord have mercy.
This is the first time I ever saw Ken brandish a weapon before on the live show.
Come on, man. This is not a weapon. This is a letter of paper. Whatever. See,
you just happen to have a letter opener.
To be fair though, Ken, out of context, just having a letter opener.
I just keep it, dude. It was just kind of I wasn't trying to imply anything. Come on, man.
He throwing that thing like Michelangelo with chucks.
So
okay, before I want to thank. Look, seriously, I want to thank Doc Holliday.
Thanks, Doc, for
being class enough, man, to come and join us. Doc, man, brother, I appreciate you. This will not be the first time you come on. Man, come. See, well, I will give you J Stakes folk credit for this. Yeah, y'all got each other's back. That's good, man. That's good.
We're gonna ride for each other.
Hey, but you know who got my back? You know who got my back? My man EA. EA, you on here, right? EA got my back.
Oh yeah, EA.
And they still lost to trash Troy.
EA had a good question that we need to get to in another episode. We ain't got time tonight, but we'll get to it eventually.
Anyway, he's Jared Hoffman. He's Chris Stevens. He's Kendrick Marshall. Special shout out to my man Doc Holliday, man. Thank you, brother, for coming on. Hey guys, thank you all for taking a few moments to do what we do and talk this stuff that we talk. We appreciate your support. By all means, take the time to become a level 1, level 2, or level 3 supporter. Become a member of the HBCU Sports. Become a member of HBCU Sports and support the channel. And I guess we'll be back on live on Wednesday, right? I think my man Flood will be back on with us on Wednesday. So you guys, until next time, God bless you, and we'll see you next time.